Welcome back everybody to part 4 of our Fuzzy Hygge Coloring Adventure. I am so excited for today's episode because I personally am a crazy book girly. I read constantly. It's a serious addiction, and this page is all about books. These are the pages that we did in the previous episodes, so if you haven't watched those, please go back and watch them. I think you'll really enjoy them. And in this video, I'll be going over the process that I use, kind of going over what colors I'm using, and I hope that you guys enjoy. It's a crazy one. All right, here we go. For this page, I wanted to go with fantasy books, which are my favorite kinds of books to read. So my favorite fantasy series is Throne of Glass, so I am currently making the Assassin's Blade book cover. Next, we're obviously going to go with the actual Throne of Glass book cover because it is the next one in the series. I know there's a lot of debate on whether to read the Assassin's Blade first or third. I preferred it first. Next, we have Crown of Midnight. And then we have Heir of Fire. After that, we have our Queen of Shadows, which is my personal favorite in the series. And then we have our tandem read with Tower of Dawn and Empire of Storms. A lot of people do the tandem read, a lot of people don't. I personally didn't do it. Carrying around 2 big books is a little difficult. And then finally we have Kingdom of Ash, which is the final book in the Throne of Glass series, and it is honestly phenomenal. For our next fantasy series, I went with Game of Thrones, which I loved so much. It is a little bit of a tougher read, but once you get through it, it is so worth it. I am so upset that he has not released another book because I would read it instantly. I went with the traditional spines for these books, which have like little trinkets on the front and then the name of the series along the side. So we start with Game of Thrones, and then we move on to Clash of Kings. And then we have a Storm of Swords. And the next one is A Feast for Crows. And the last one released is A Dance with Dragons. Another great fantasy series that I loved was the Grisha series. The first one in the book is Shadow and Bone. And then we have Siege and Storm and Ruin and Rising. For some reason, whenever I was coloring this in and writing the names on the spines, I did make a little mistake, so you'll see I try my best to correct it. The next ones are Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, and then we have King of Scars and Rule of Wolves. I will say that the Six of Crows and the King of Scars series were much preferred, in my opinion, than the original Shadow and Bone series. I found that they were written a little bit better with a more mysterious effect. Not saying that the Shadow and Bone series was bad, I just definitely preferred the other ones. Next, we have our A Court of Thorns and Roses series. I really liked this series, definitely not my favorite of Sarah J. Maas, but I still found them enjoyable. So up top, I have our A Court of Thorns and Roses, and then we have A Court of Mist and Fury, and then we have A Court of Wings and Ruin. Our little fox down below is holding A Court of Frost and Starlight and is currently reading it. And then because it is such a short book, down below by its feet I have A Court of Silver Flames because she is ready to read that book. Because A Court of Frost and Starlight was open, I was able to add a little bit more detail to it. Next up, we have our Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas, which I loved. I thought it was truly amazing. And then because we have the one spine facing, I was able to put a little bit more detail in there. Currently, I am reading the Dune series, which is 23 very amazing books. I am currently on book 15, and I have to tell you, it is so worth it. The first 6 are definitely the ones that people stick to reading, so they are the ones that I added in today. It was a great series by Frank Herbert, and I would recommend it to literally everyone. Now you're probably wondering why I added a sci-fi series into our fantasy bookshelf, but if you read the series, you'll see so many fantasy elements that you'll understand why. Back behind our bear, I went with a duology called Dance of Thieves with its second book, Vow of Thieves. They're pretty short for a fantasy series, but they're honestly really good, so if you don't want to have a huge undertaking, I would definitely recommend it. Since I was a little girl, The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings have been an all-time favorite for me, so that's what I decided to do next. On the ground here we have The Hobbit and The Fellowship of the Ring, and then in the corner behind our little beanbag, we have The Two Towers and The Return of the King. I love these movies so much that I actually spent a crazy amount of money to meet all 4 hobbits, and it was a very short experience, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was literally so life-changing to me. For our next series, there is a lot of debate on whether it's good or not. However, I really enjoyed it, and that is our Emprine series with Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and Onyx Storm. I know that there are more books being released, however, we only have these 3, so they're the only 3 that I added. Next, a series I really loved was the Plated Prisoner series. There are a total of 6 books in the series, but I didn't really have room to fit it all, so I just put the first one. And then we have A Day of Fallen Night and A Priory of the Orange Tree, which are very thick, heavily fantasy books by Samantha Shannon. They are literally so good. And then in the background, behind our fox, we have The Bone Season, which is also by Samantha Shannon, and those books are also really great. And the series actually isn't over. We are just waiting for the new ones to be released. Now that all of our books are put in there, we're going to go in with like a light tan color for all of the visible pages. To add a little bit more texture and dimension, I'm going to go through with a black micron pen and add just a bunch of lines to make it look like there are a bunch of pages. When I saw this page, it really gave me antique old bookstore vibes, so I'm going to go with a nice like natural dark brown bookshelf. And then to add dimension, I'm going to go through with an even darker brown for the background to make it look like it is farther back. And then I'm going to go through and add a bunch of shading to give it even more dimension. Doing this, I think it made the colors of the books pop a lot more, and I think it hid the very harsh black outline for all of the books, making them look like their spines are actually the colors that we picked out for them. For this shading, you can see I'm just going behind the books and behind the bear and the fox, just anywhere in the background to make it look even darker. To make the bookshelf look more wooden, I'm going to go through with a black micron pen and just give it that wood grain texture. When I was coloring this page, I was so confused about this bottom line, and I realized that it is the bottom of the bookshelf, so I did go through and actually make it brown. For the background here, I didn't want to do a simple wallpaper pattern. I wanted to stick to that, like I said, antique bookstore vibe, so I thought a nice dark red brick was the move. All of the spaces that I left in between, instead of doing like a traditional white grout in the middle, I'm going to do a nice like dark gray grout, and I think that it makes it look a little bit, like I said, more antique, more old, rather than that like fresh white popping off of it. I wanted it to look a little bit darker. Now that I started adding it in, you can kind of get a feel for the vibe. Now to give it that brick texture, I'm going to go in with that same like reddish brown color that I used and add just a ton of dot work, and it makes it look like that brick texture. I'm going to use the same color behind our vases and sign and clock to give a shadow effect. And then I'm going to take a colorless blender and go through with our dot work again, just to add even more texture to our bricks. This whole page was about my favorite books, so I wanted to do one of my favorite animals, which is a panda. So that's what I decided to do for our bear on this page. I know it's different than what we did before, but I just could not resist. Instead of going with the traditional like straight white and black, pandas are usually a little bit more dirty. They have a lot of fur texture, so I went with like a really light gray instead, and I think that it made it look a little bit better lighting wise. If we would have left him like super white, I don't think it would have looked right. To brighten it up a little bit and to give it that white fur texture, I will be going through with a white Jelly Roll gel pen and adding in a bunch of fur texture and then hiding those harsh black lines where that like light gray color is. Before I add our fur texture in the black color, I realized that we need to do our flooring. So I decided I wanted to stick to the wood theme that we have going on, so I'm going to use 4 different shades of a tannish wood color, and I'm going to go in and zigzag a bunch of stripe work to give it that wood texture, and I think that it ended up turning out really, really well. These colors ended up blending really, really well together, and I think a slightly lighter floor adds a little bit more life to the page without it being too harsh. Now I'm adding in those shadows like I do everywhere else, and then I decided that it needs to be just a little bit darker, so I do go through with a slightly darker brown and add just the same texture. For our sign up top, it originally said art book, but obviously these are fantasy books, so I started off with a nice light tan color, and we're gonna try and hide that. For our fox, we are going to stick to the traditional colors, which are white, dark gray, orange, and brown. And this is the first time I've done a fox underside, and a lot of a fox underneath is very white, so you're gonna see that we leave a lot of our fox uncolored. Pink is my favorite color, so you know I had to make the fox's glasses pink. And because enough is never enough, you know we had to make our beanbag pink as well. While our base layer for the beanbag is drying, I'm going to go through with our black micron pen and add in the fur texture and all the black areas for our panda bear. Now going back into our beanbag chair, to give it a little bit more dimension and to make it look like the fox is actually sitting on it, I'm going to use the same exact light pink color and just add in a little bit more texture. And then taking a darker pink, I'm going to add just a bunch of polka dots all over it, just to make it even more cutesy. Now we are going to take our black micron pen and add in all of our fur texture where the black is. And then we're going to do the same thing with orange, brown, and white Jelly Roll gel pens to make our fox look nice and fluffy. To make our glasses look just a little bit more realistic, I'm going to take our white gel pen and kind of just smudge a whole bunch in there to give it that glass effect, and then I'm going to re-outline the eyes and add little sparkles. Now that our sign is fully dry, I'm going to go through with a black micron pen and write in fantasy, because this is our fantasy section. And then I don't really like how that white is still popping out in the background, so I'm going to take a glittery brown Jelly Roll gel pen and kind of hide everything, and I think that makes it look just fun and shiny. To avoid using even more wood textures, I decided to do a quartz clock, and I think that it added just a little bit more brightness to our page, And then I also added in the dots to the clock face because I think it made it look just a little bit more detailed. For our plant pots, I went with a nice rich purple. I wanted it to be very dark because I wanted the plant to actually pop super well. So I'm going to take a darker and a lighter green Sharpie acrylic marker and go in and hide all of the harsh black lines. I think it made it look just a little bit better. For our plant here on the right, I do add in a bunch of new leaves hanging over. That way it looks like it adds a little bit more texture. And then if you saw that little tail, that would be my cat Muffin getting in the way of the shot. This page took me about 2 hours to film, and I think it was totally worth it. I am so happy with it. I hope you guys are too. I am going to add in a closer video of the book so you guys can see the full detail, but I hope you guys all enjoyed. Please subscribe, leave a comment, leave a like. I really appreciate it, and please stay tuned for our next Fuzzy Hygge coloring episode. I think you guys are going to be so excited. All right, bye.